Welcome everyone to the Alchemy of the Aries Venus Synodic Cycle. I'm Kaylin Costell here with Tammy Brunk, and we are so excited to share with you the importance of Venus cycles all in general, but also particularly the importance of the Aries Venus Synodic Cycle. And we're going to talk just a little bit about the origins of Venus alchemy, because it's why we're here. And we were led to be here, and we're going to teach. We've been teaching synodic cycles of Venus in the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School for many years, and Tammy and I were scheduled to teach a class, and it was a live class, a 5-day class, and there just wasn't any energy for it. So we thought, how can we change this so that we can make it more applicable to all people, to people who don't know anything about astrology, to people who are loving to work with the divine feminine mysteries and the planet Venus as she expresses that. And how can we do that in a community and a collective? So that led us to forming our first class to track the Venus cycle back in 2014. And it was so successful. We had over 100 people that worked with us in that 19-month journey, and people loved it so much, and they started asking us right away if we would do the rest of the Venus cycles. And of course, we were so stoked by it, we decided, yes, we would. So what would you like to add to that, Tammy?
Oh, just that this has been so life-changing for both Kaylin and I, and for so many individuals in our classes, because really, we don't know of anyone else who has done this in modern times, where we take a full 19-month Venus cycle, and we use, as we'll get to later, we use the myth of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess Inanna. We use her descent and rebirth story as the kind of guide for how we take people through the ceremonial journey, because that is how the Sumerians had worked with this. So we'll talk more about that later, but it has been so incredible to be able to bring together a group of people from across the globe to do this kind of deep soul inquiry, to connect with the divine feminine, and also to get people outside actually connecting in with the living sky, with Venus and the moon. The way I think of it sometimes is that many people now are working with the moon cycles, and that's part of the reemergence of this sacred feminine. But this is taking it to a whole other level. And so we're excited to share more with you about it.
We're so excited. And what we found is that working with the cycle, first we did it, I know Tammy was leading some groups in her local area. I was counseling and coaching a lot of people through their Venus cycle for years, starting in the mid-90s, and then working with my own Venus cycles when they came up. And the last one I did very ceremonially was really powerful and absolutely life-changing for me to do that. And in fact, I think it's part of what helped to lead me to this place of thinking, it might be really good if we did taught this in a different way, to make it more experiential and really relevant to people in their lives at this time, and supportive. So
yeah, and I had gone through the same cycle that Kaylin was going through, the full cycle. I think this is the first time you had done the full cycle of ceremony, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
I was taking groups of people through the cycle of ceremony. It wasn't my personal Venus return, but taking live groups. And for me as well, taking them through the live groups was so powerful to have the collective. And then the next year, I did it as my own personal ceremony. So I think, Kaylin and I have both now experienced what it's like to do it, the deeper inner work, which is what's special about this as well, is people are doing their deeper inner work, but they're also doing it with the collective. So
Yes.
we do both.
Yes, and it's powerful to do it on your own, and we recommend that if you at least do that. And we would love to have you join with us to work with this cycle if it's something that calls to you.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get, I don't know. I think that we might talk a little bit about how to get the most out of the cycle at this point. Just to say that, creating a Venus altar, doing journaling, going out and being with Venus and the moon when they're together in the sky. These are some ways that you can deepen your experience of the cycle. And of course, we give way more tools and ways of doing that in the class that we do online.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, so we're just going to talk in this brief video then about that a little bit more, and then also why this particular cycle is so special and significant.
In fact, we're going to talk about that next. So something just to know is that the Sumerians, the Babylonians, or other cultures used the rising of Venus closest to the spring equinox as the time to reenact the story, the Inanna story, the Ishtar story, whatever story they had connected to the cycle of Venus at that time. And so when Venus is in Aries, it's a time for that high ceremony and a powerful restructuring of our culture that we can engage, either individually or collectively. We would love for people to join us collectively because it's going to be powerful.
Yes. And this is the last Venus and Aries cycle of our lifetime. I think, Kaylin, you had said yesterday something like 200 years before we have another Venus and Aries cycle,
yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
So again, not only was this the most significant for ancient cultures, but it's the last one. So again, it's part of why it's so powerful.
And what's special about this one is that Venus is rising closest to the equinox point. Now, she will rise closer to the equinox point in different sign. Next time it'll be in Pisces, and it'll be actually closer to the equinox in 2025, but it will be in Pisces. This time she's rising right around 0 degrees, almost 1 degree, or so somewhere around 1 degree of Aries as a morning star. So it is right at that equinox point. And it's only once every, I don't know, a few hundred years that this can happen. So that's very significant as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just really, it's also, this is just something really brief, that in this particular cycle, it's been really kind of incredible to see how Venus has such a short window where she's completing one cycle and beginning another one. That's also something unique to this particular cycle, that it's only like a 1 day window of change. And you'll learn more about that, if you go through the class. We'll talk more about it.
And also, I think we did have a video that's on our videos page at venusalchemy.com that talks about why this particular Venus cycle is a quicker shift than, So people can listen to that if they're interested in knowing more about that. So doing collective ceremony to welcome the divine feminine. And in this case, it is the fierce divine feminine who is here to restore the cosmic balance.
Yes, and do we ever need her?
We need her so much right now. So we're really excited to work with her over this next 19 months. So. All right. So this is just a quick look at the Venus cycle. And it's about 19 months, 584 and a half days. The Mayans had it calculated out to the 10th of a day, it's like for thousands of years of the Venus cycle. That was how important it was to them to keep track of what was going on with Venus. And so we begin the cycle of Venus where most ancient cultures that we know of began Venus cycle when she was visible in the morning sky, when she first rises up as a morning star. And there's lots of reasons for that. We explain that in depth in our longer video that we have if you decide to join our class, of why that is. But just to know that from morning star rise to morning star rise is the entire cycle of Venus that takes about 19 months. And then as she goes through her cycle, there's these different phases. She's the morning star, she's the underworld, where she's going through her death and rebirth, and then the evening star. We'll explain morning star and evening star a little bit more in a moment. And then the sign that Venus is in when she rises as morning star is the overtone or the meta goddess for the entire 19-month cycle. And if you happen to be turning 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96 between March 31st of 2017 to October 31st of 2018, you are in a personal Venus return cycle. And we have found that when you're in a personal Venus return cycle, you get the most out of it if you engage it, if you
Yes.
work with it either personally or in a collective group like what we're sharing with you.
Yes.
And then, of course, we're using the descent and the ascent myth that's associated with Inanna to help frame how we work with it in a ceremonial way.
So the way that we connect these things, the cycle and the Inanna story, is that in the story of Inanna's descent and ascent from the underworld, she has to pass through 7 gates on her way to the underworld and then on her way up and out of the underworld. And when she descends, she removes a vestment. She is required to remove her crown, for example, her robe, her necklace, at each of these 7 gates. And then when she comes back, when she experiences her death and rebirth in the underworld, and then she comes back up through these 7 gates, she also again reclaims these 7 vestments. So the connection with the cycle is that when she's in the morning star phase, which is at the time of this video, she's just now appeared as morning star. So for the next about 9 months, she'll be in the morning sky. She will be with the crescent moon every month, about every month. And each of those times that she comes together with the moon represents a gate. And we see those as chakra gates, beginning with when she takes off her crown and going down through each of the descending chakras. And so the way we work with this ceremonially is that we will work with each of these chakras in turn and do healing, clearing, releasing around each of these chakras individually and collectively. And then when she is traveling behind the sun, that takes about 2.5 months, sometimes 3 months. That's when we see her, and the ancients would see her as being in the underworld when she was not visible. And so this is another part of the initiation that we go through collectively, and we give tools and how to work with that. And then when she's rising, she appears as evening star, and then again, Venus-Moon conjunctions about every month, and she's in the evening sky about 9 months. And that's when we're reclaiming or strengthening ourselves, beginning at the first chakra and moving up. So this is how we do the ceremonial enactment.
So one of the things we could just say real quickly is that as she is descending and letting go of the vestments, she's releasing any distortions that may be connected to that particular chakra energy. And then when she is in the evening star reclaiming, she's reclaiming a healthy relationship with that chakra energy. And what's really perfect about the cycle is that in the morning sky, she's meeting with the waning moon that's losing light. And she's letting go of her vestment or distortions. And then in the evening sky, she's meeting with the waxing moon, gaining light, and she's regaining a connection, a healthier connection to that particular chakra energy. Yes. So it's the way they designed the story is perfect. It really describes what's happening with Venus in the sky.
And we see that it literally, with the chakras, it's incredible how many stories we have from people in our group and ourselves where very literal connections to those chakras in our lives show up.
Indeed. So this is our website, venusalchemy.com. We are continually feeling blessed that we got this URL. It was kind of magical. It seems like something the goddess really wanted us to have. And that one of the things that we highly recommend is you go check out the articles page if you want to know more. You can also sign up for the class that we're doing at this website as well. And you can see the links for the classes, or there's at the boom bar at the top, it'll say, you can find out more about what we're doing with the classes. And if you still need more information, there's articles. We also now do have videos. And there's several videos there on the video page that you can watch that will give you additional information.
Awesome.
Yes.
And also check out our rave reviews.
Exactly. Check out our rave reviews. We love them. Anyway, so this is the 5-pointed star that Venus creates in the sky as she rises as morning star. And we started with the January 17th, 2014 Venus cycle, and then went to the August Venus cycle. So 19 months later, Venus rose as morning star on August 22nd. Now we have Venus rising on March 31st. Now, Tammy did mention that there may be, and people have already seen Venus in the morning skies. I haven't had a chance to see her yet. But the reason for that has to do with the declination, or the latitude actually, of Venus to the sun. So she's a shorter time in the underworld. We'll be exploring what that means. in the class. But the technical, like 10-degree orb that we use as sort of the magical number, means that on March 31st, 2017 is when the Venus cycle began. And then we'll have, November, actually this should say November 1st, the next cycle. And then in June of 2020, so November 1st of 2018 to June of 2020. And then it comes back to Capricorn, and we begin again in January of 2022. So you can see, and then so each time Venus is rising, and it takes 8 years for her to rise in all 5 of these signs and do her journey.
Yep. And with each of these, we see each of these signs as representing the meta goddess. So at any given time, you're only going to have 5 different archetypes of the goddess. At this time, it's Gemini, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Leo that are kind of, we see it as being, they're on the world stage for that 19 months where they're really coming. This is what's online for the culture, for the collective, is this version of the goddess coming online. And so this is the last time in our lifetime that it's going to be Aries that we're working with.
Exactly. And it'll be the first time it'll be Libra since probably a couple hundred years.
Right.
And that's going to be very fascinating to work with as well. So Stay tuned. Right. Okay.
So there's so many powerful tools that we use for the Venus cycle. The Venus journal is one, and Kaylin, you may talk about that in a moment. The Venus altar is another. We have had so much fun. We also have a Facebook group that's a very vibrant group in our collective engagement with this, where people really share their Venus altar images, and it's kind of an ongoing thing. And Kaylin and I also always make our own altars. It's a really fun process, and that's the first thing we'll describe for how people do that. We just created a really in-depth video for our class participants on different ideas for that. So there's the altar, and so you can do this whether you're working with us or on your own. You can create a Venus altar. We highly recommend in our classes and for anyone to begin working with Venus and the crescent moon in the sky, or just Venus. Pay attention to Venus, spend time with her. And then again, also to work with this idea that each of the Venus-Moon conjunctions represents a chakra gate activation. And then Venus journaling has been such a powerful tool. So Kaylin, do you want to talk a little more about that?
Well, so it's a way to kind of tune into, and if you're working with a specific chakra, you can just do a little meditation. We offer questions you can work with, or you can come up with your own, and then just journal on that and what's coming up for you around that particular chakra. And if you can go out and witness Venus and the moon together in the sky, we also provide sky maps for people who maybe have cloudy skies and can't tune in that way visually, that then they can tune in with the sky map visually. And, it's like there's information there for us. And if we're tuning in and taking time to tap into it, I found it incredibly significant when I did this on my own Venus return. I haven't been keeping a Venus journal lately, but I'm going to do it with this one because I am Venus in Aries. And so even though it's not my Venus return, it feels very significant for me personally.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I did keep a journal during the last one, but I didn't maintain the whole time. So I'm so excited also. And I know all of us are going to be so excited to get our new Venus journals and start the process. I'll say too that we really recommend doing it with other people. So if you don't join our class, to gather with others, find a buddy. We have a system where people can connect up with buddies to work with them. And again, we've got like a really vibrant online community, but we recommend, connecting with others, even though this can be a really deep internal process as well.
Indeed. It's great when it's both.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So what is the Venus and Aries cycle all about? And we're very excited because she is fierce, feminine. She's the warrior, the wild woman, the one who's here to restore the cosmic balance. And so Tammy, do you want to share that first one? Because I think you wrote that really beautifully.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, first of all, what's exciting about this is we're all dreaming into this together. We're all kind of, and in our class, certainly we've got 19 months to just deepen into what is this about. It's an inquiry, it's mystery. But yes, part of what I've been really, really deeply feeling into the last couple of months is and we found this with the Capricorn class especially as well, is that this is really about dismantling the old way of Aries being expressed. So the old kind of bloodthirsty, that's one layer of Aries, the kind of patriarchal overlay. It's about fighting just for fighting's sake, or just to make money, or
conquering.
Just for conquering. Yeah. So there's that really violent kind of overlay to Aries. But then even personally, for many of us, it can be that part of us, and this goes to a lower point, that idea, I can do it all myself. I don't need help. There's that piece. And then for many women who have been out in the marketplace, which is a battlefield in and of itself, we have often had to take on certain kinds of armoring just to survive. And so this is a time for us to let go of the more brittle, rigid expression of Aries and that kind of misunderstanding of what true strength is, so that we can really let that go, so we can connect into the essence of the true Aries strength, which also knows how to flow, which also knows how to change, which also brings in vulnerability as well as strength and courage. So yeah. Yes. Anything else, Kaylin?
I just love this, Rumi. You've seen my descent, now watch my rising. And if we think about Aries, wild warrior woman, having been so repressed and denied in our recent culture, you know, that women haven't had a space to be that easily. I mean, some women have still shown up to be that. And we have a video on the wild warrior woman, or the warrior woman on our videos page that you can go and check out for 5 past and 5 present expressions of that. But we're really seeing now that we're reclaiming this in a great way. And I just imagine this last cycle seeing her rise even more into the collective consciousness and awareness, and that she is honored for her ability to help restore the cosmic balance, to help protect what needs to be protected, and to help support and further the things that need to be supported and furthered at this time.
Absolutely. So, and that she's loved in that, you know, to be strong and to be female.
And we're like, yes, she's showing up.
Yeah, she's showing up. She's showing up.
Yep. Awesome.
So, yeah, so the first thing is, when you go to our page, you could see at the very top that you will be invited to click and this link here to learn about our current class, which we're really excited about. And you'll see lots of rave reviews even in the description of the class, so you can learn more about that there. And then these are just a few different books that we recommend reading to learn more about Inanna and about this journey. So Inanna, Queen of Heaven and Earth, Her Stories and Hymns from Sumer, by Diane Wolkstein and Samuel Kramer, is a really good one.
Great book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Descent to the Goddess is like a Jungian kind of woman's take. It's really powerful about the deeper layers of how to work with this story as an initiation. And then there are many online stories that you can access as well.
There's lots you can find. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to make this PDF that we just are looking at here available on our video page at venusalchemy.com, so that you can, if there's anything you want to go back and look at, or links that you want to connect in with. And of course, Tammy and I have both been writing articles about the Aries wild woman and the Aries Venus retrograde that you can check out on the articles page. So and that might help you if you decide that you're doing this on your own, because we really want to encourage as many people as possible to work with this cycle, whether you work with it with us or work with it on your own, because this is about changing the world, and it's desperately needed right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you to everyone for listening, and we hope that when we are looking at Venus in the morning sky, that you will be looking with us.
Yes. Beautiful.
Okay. All right.